down here, and he said that he felt that I would have a good opportunity to do this. I had thought about it beforehand, but never really, really went for it because of the fact that there was no internet really that I could use at that time. Airbnb and VRBO didn't even exist. But I felt like, this was a time that it might be a possibility because of the fact that it is on the ocean and all that. So, I started, looking into it, and little by little I realized that I could live on the property and run it as a small business, and it would keep me out of having to be in the real estate business, development, and any kind of like massage therapy or, the things that most Americans do when they come down here. And so, I've kept it basically very moderate, and I try to keep it so that I can still enjoy my property. But it's made me really feel wonderful in a lot of ways because the people who come here are really, really happy and really enjoy being right on the big sandy beach in front of a surf break. And they pay me, but at the same point in time, they come and they thank me for letting me let them stay in my house, which I find kind of amusing because they're, clients, but they're so happy to be here. So it's very fulfilling and heartwarming to be able to create something that I see becomes a joyful thing for other people as well.
And you've met some really incredible people. You've introduced me to quite a few of the friends that come year after year, and you've made some good friends out of people that stay there, haven't you?
Yeah, some of the people come from, they all come from different walks of life. Some of them are, very business-like. You get people from Chicago. I've had people from India, from Australia. It really has given me the opportunity to meet a lot of people. But I also run into people that are sort of cut from the same cloth. And we've ended up traveling north and into Canada and the United States and visiting them as well and developed some really great friendships. So, Cabo has become really an international attraction, a hub of people coming from all over the world to enjoy this fabulous climate, this wonderful ambiance, this water. It really is, it stands alone. When you look at all the different geographical places throughout the world, it's one of the most unique spots surrounded by, basically, I call it 3 bodies of water. If you can consider at the tip, it's a combination of the Sea of Cortez and the Pacific Ocean. So it just continues to bring more and more people, it's kind of a love-hate kind of situation because we had it before all that started, but now it's here. I just like the Home Depots and the Costcos and all the stuff that we kind of really were upset about when they first came. And now, I go shopping at Costco all the time. So life changes. You either, you run or you accept. And so it's been a great lesson for me in acceptance and patience.
So for any listeners that either are contemplating buying a second home or even a first home in Baja, or those that maybe already own a home there, what are some of the pitfalls or ins and outs of doing vacation rental with your home? It sounds like it's neat and fun and makes you money, but are there negatives to it? And then what are the positives? Or what are some tips and pieces of advice you might give also?
Well, the thing that I think people have to realize is that it becomes a business, unless you're doing it on such a very, very small level. But you're putting yourself at risk if you just do it blatantly and, you're advertising throughout the social networks and whatever. This can present, its own problems because, they're going to possibly, somebody's going to investigate you. So what I recommend is you go out and you get yourself, if you're down here full time and you got a house to rent, you get yourself a Mexican accountant and you get yourself legal and you sign up with the Mexican IRS, which they call a hacienda, and, you report your incomes. And down here what we do is we do a monthly statement of things that we do instead of waiting until the end of the year and hoping, the Mexican government hoping that you're going to come up with your tax money. They get you on a monthly basis. So I believe that when you're here, you need to follow the rules. You don't need to jeopardize your holdings by, just being, lackadaisical and carefree, because it is, you are in conflict with the Hotel Association with motels and different places that pay a lot more taxes than we do. Mine really, I don't run it as a hotel. I'm renting a few apartments in my house, there's 3 sections in my house that have, full kitchens and that. So it's not a hotel. It's just part of my house. And, you really need to do your homework, check with your tax people in the States how you want to handle it. Most of the monies that are made here need to be, reported on your income taxes in the United States. There's a lot of things that are happening down here now where they're making sure, like Airbnb, basically report some of their, I think they report all of their incomes and stuff to the IRS. So you need to be aware that all of that could come back to bite you. So, just stay on top of it, but it gives you a nice income in terms of being able to pay your way. And basically it's about living your own lifestyle here. If you're going to come down here, you want to be stress-free and you want to enjoy your life. So do the right thing.
So I use VRBO to rent my house out, and I'm unfortunate because I don't live there full-time anymore. But I am fortunate that I have a property manager that greets the guests when they come and then makes sure the house is clean and whatnot for the next guests. He actually recently just moved into my guest house. But you don't use a property manager. You do all that on your own. How much work is that?
Well, for me, it's pretty easy because I do live here. What I did is in 2000, I created another unit in the back. So I have like an on-site small apartment and office. The amount of work that I have to do is basically what anyone would do, really, just to maintain their house and keep it nice. But I do have a gardener. I do have a pool guy that comes and keeps my pool nice and clean. And I have 2 or 3 ladies that I can depend on who come and help me clean and manage all the textiles and all the cleaning supplies and, the kitchen areas and whatnot before and after groups come in. So it's really not too bad. I think it's a trade-off. You're either going to do it yourself, and if you do it correctly, it's not a lot of your own physical work. It's more management, or you're hiring a management company, and these management companies want a lot of times up to 30% to do it for you, which is fine if you're getting things, rentals that you wouldn't normally get yourself, and, you can depend on them to maintain it for you. And if there's any problems that arise when the people are there, plumbing leaks, for example, or just a breakdown of some kind of the services that the house provides, that you have somebody that can take care of it for you. Living away presents its problems as well, but there are management companies down here that can help you out with that.
So my memory's going back of all the cool things that have happened close to your home. I mean, I remember seeing a huge concert in the Arroyo there with Steel Pulse and a whole bunch of other bands, surf contests in front of the house. In fact, I remember our full moon gatherings that we used to do in front of your house. You've gotten to watch and see quite a few different events and fun things happen in and around the area. Do any of them stand out as special to you?
Well, for the last 3 or 4 years, we've had the World Surf League has hosted a couple of their what they call qualifying groups of surfers that come here that are qualifying for the championship tour. So they call it the QT, the qualifying tour. And usually it's the women's. It was men's originally, and now it's become women's and juniors. So that's always an amazing event and a lot of fun because they bring people from all over the world, and they have great food, great music. This year they did it at Monuments Beach over in Cabo. I'm not sure what's going to happen next year. That happens to be one of the great events that's taken place. But there's also things that I enjoy are like on the 4th of July, New Year's Eve. I mean, this whole beach just lights off with, fireworks. There's a lot of activity. Quite a few concerts, like you said, have been held in the Arroyo there next to us, which is just about, 500 meters or so to my south. I'm in the middle of it. There's, I guess you might say, there's things that are negative about it because of the crowds. The crowds of people aren't too bad, to tell you the truth. It's more the car traffic that's developed and just, generally the amount of surfers that are now in the water, so those things have changed quite a bit. But really every day is a wonderful experience, and the weather here is fantastic on the water. Just living, it's like I always call it San Diego on steroids. It's like the water's warmer, it's clear, the air is pure. It's an amazing thing. So just even on a daily basis, I'm completely amazed and in awe, and I give thanks. I swear every day for just getting to be here, But there's a lot of entertainment in San Jose now, too. We have dance troupes that come here. We have music. We have world-class cooks and restaurants everywhere. There's events going on. There's a lot of groups that work for nonprofit organizations. They're always holding events and drives to help the orphans, for example, the children, the animals, and whatnot. So San Jose is teeming with experiences, and they're all good. One of the things that I really like to work with is an organization called SAFE, and what they do is they go out into the streets, into the poor areas or wherever they find them, and they rescue a lot of the animals and the dogs that are left alone and that are basically probably dying, from neglect. And so we support that group as well as Casa de Hogar, which is a group out of Cabo, and it helps. Like it used to be they rescued young boys that were orphaned, and now they've got a whole project for helping women as well. So it's a very diverse culture now because it's so international and there's so much attraction here. Always events, always, food tasting places. Now we got the wine people, on and on and on. Amazing place, Ryan.
CJ, the stories that you share with me throughout the years, they go on and on. There's probably quite a few that shouldn't be shared in a platform like this. But one of them that I'm remembering that I think is a worthy conversation to have here, and that is I don't remember how long ago it was, but you were with Sheila. So in the last 20 years, but you were driving south, I believe, and had a car accident outside of Vizcaíno, wasn't it?
That's correct.
And
2002.
That's something that we talk about driving up and down the peninsula and whether it's safe and how long does it take and how to do it. And there's lots of people that have, like myself and you, that have done it. I've probably done it hundreds of times. And then there's people that have never done it and are contemplating, and they hear horror stories. So you had an accident, and it was self-caused, right? You just kind of drifted off the road, didn't you?
That's correct.
But let's just kind of run through the basics of how that went down and what the end result was. Because if I remember right, it was a happy ending with some really neat little components to the story, wasn't there?
Yeah, it was around 2002. My girlfriend and I were driving another trip down from the States down to Cabo, and we both were in separate cars. And we had driven the first leg we had drove down, and I think we stayed in, I think it was in San Quintin. And then the next leg was we were going to go to Laredo. And we got up real early in the morning, and we were driving south, and we got to where Guerrero Negro turnoff was. And I said, well, let's just continue on. It's about 8 o'clock in the morning. We'll move on to Vizcaíno, which is a small little town out in the middle of the desert between Guerrero Negro, which is a whale-watching port on the Pacific side, and Santa Rosalia, which is another town. It's a mining town on the Sea of Cortez. And it's kind of a weird story, but I was looking for something in my car. I was driving about 70 miles an hour. And this is something that you have to realize when you're on the Baja Highway. It's very narrow. There's no emergency lanes. And as long as you stay, 100% conscious, two hands on the road, keeping on your wheel, eyes on the highway, you shouldn't have any problems. Well, I broke that law, looked down, looked up. I'm going off the road at 70 miles an hour. And the only thing that probably saved my life is that I ran off the road where, I didn't just go into like a big, huge crevasse and roll and, do the whole thing. So actually I just went off and I did crash head first into a small ditch and then kind of continued on. And that's probably what saved me because I kept moving. But I hurt my head real bad. I got rescued by some local Mexican workers that were